the code and join the Royal TV WhatsApp group now. When we dream alone, it is only a dream. But when many dream together, it is the beginning of a new reality. TV viewers, your voice matters, and now we want to hear it louder than ever. We've created a special WhatsApp feedback group just for you. Got opinions about our shows? Suggestions to make Royal TV better? Compliments, complaints?
Welcome viewers of Crossviews, welcome viewers of Royal TV. The bombshell has finally come, it has landed, and so Cameroonians, what they were suspecting came to pass. And so Cameroonians are very good of knowing what is to happen as far as the Parliament of Cameroon is concerned, as far as the government of Cameroon is concerned. On this day, dear viewers, we are going to continue our discussion on Cameroon's parliament. In the past days, we've been discussing about it. We knew very well that bills from the presidency had gone to the parliament to discuss on the extension of the mandates of municipal councillors and that of the post of vice president to be brought back after it was dropped, it was cancelled in 1972. So Cameroonians did not really like, they were just waiting to see what will happen. And do you know that what Cameroonians were thinking? That this bill will pass as it is, and so it has happened. Finally, the bill passed, and it is that the President of the Republic, President Paul Biya, in the days ahead, will have to appoint a vice president to assist him and maybe take over when the post of presidency is vacant. And so Cameroonians have been having different opinions concerning this, especially politicians, and more especially those in the parliament at the Congress, who are members of the CPDM party. Although there are so many of them who stood against that bill, but the bill still passed because the majority wins the vote. And so they had no choice because those who kicked against were fewer. And so today we are going to be discussing on the topic, Cameroon's Democratic and Republican Parliament in a political hypocritic oath votes for an appointed vice president. That is what they have voted for. For tonight's program, dear viewers, we have Kikichi Kenneth here, as usual, who is going to work with me on this platform, including you out there, who is the #1 participant analyst tonight. Kiki, you are welcome to Crossviews.
Thank you, Mr. Mambo. It's always a pleasure. Anytime that we are available to be part of this Crossviews to shed light on issues that we consider very primordial in the democratic process in our governance system. And as usual, it's our own way of participating either in uplifting our democratic values or in enlightening the public and also learning from the public too. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, KK. Everyone who want to say that you have the right to call us to participate as far as this program is concerned. The program has started, and as I told you, finally the bill is up, KK. We know the other bill that is on the table at the Parliament, at the Congress, is that of municipal actors who maybe the presidency has also requested, and it was defended by the Minister of Territorial Administration, who said that their mandate should be extended. And so many reasons are for that, that the state does not have money to be sponsoring these elections in different periods. And so usually, as we know, some years back, they started sponsoring these two elections together. That is a parliamentary election and the municipal election. So before we enter our topic, what's your take about the fact that the municipal actors who their mandate will be extended also, maybe if not indefinitely, but maybe by December we'll know the fate.
The reasons or justifications by the Minister of Territorial Administration and even from the government bench, they make allusion of unlimited resources, very limited resources rather, and logistics to handle the elections. Poses a question, a very fundamental question about government planning. You can remember that these people, their mandate lasts for 5 years, and which is a very constitutional. Now you begin to ask yourself, the planning with budgetary lines as pay. A mandate that was meant for 5 years, is it during towards the last year that the government has to put in resources, or the program, the budget is supposed to come in well planned? Was the last, we go back to the question, the last budget session in November, were there no budget lines for elections, these twin elections? A very big question. And we'll be questioning the government bench, how come that elections were not factored into the 2025 budget, 2026 budget, which was voted in November. Point number one. Point number two, the postponement comes at a time where we are already experiencing a kind of voter, where there was a voter apathy was already being curbed to some level. The enthusiasm at which people participated in the last presidential elections were already indicators that Cameroonians were gaining consciousness of coming to limelight to actually make decisions, of partake in voting, and so to shape the line. Is it not going to affect the enthusiasm which Cameroonians manifested in the last presidential elections? And then secondly, how accountable is the government to Cameroonians? Why would they wait for election period to indicate that there are no resources to handle very, very important elections that are factors of our democratic legitimacy?
But could it be that the funds were maybe transferred to unforeseen circumstances?
No, the funds cannot be transferred. No. Yes, they could have been transferred to unforeseen circumstances, but with at least some justification, some accountability. Accountability warrants that Cameroonians be informed by the government.
And would that not be mismanagement?
Would
that not be mismanagement?
No, you are already answering the question that would be mismanagement if budget lines were transferred. Did we have any emergency situation that warranted that? We don't know. Do you have any disaster that they can justify that because of this disaster funds were transferred? We don't know. Yet we have seen several hundreds of billions being borrowed for projects. Some projects which are not even important, like push the fiber network, the optic fiber distance, and whatever. They saw several hundreds of billions that will be put into that. Whereas the elections that would reshape the landmark of Cameroon democracy is postponed based on those very unjustifiable reasons. Secondly, I want to take it this way. The duration of this mandate, the extension of the mandate of these the lawmakers and the municipal councillors, if we go by figure, the amounts that they will use for salaries and other stipends that are given to them for sittings and other allowances, be the house allowances, yes. And we see that it is far above the money that is supposed to be spent for election. So that justification do not hold water. It cannot be If you calculate 180 times the number of months for the extension and their other advantages that they have, you realize that the reason is just floating on the waters, that it is not, it is far, it's not a justification per se. And it's not, they should learn to be accountable. And even little children in primary school, one day ask them questions, because now the world has opened up. So the issue here is very clear.
Yeah.
The reasons that are put on the table to justify postponement are not the real reasons. The real reasons we know. When you ask, when time comes, I will tell you what people are saying back in the quarters.
Okay, of course, when the time comes, what people are saying in the quarters, we surely have to know, because it is of great importance. Now, let us look at this Congress that held and is still ongoing. Maybe will end in a few days. As I coined the topic, Cameroon's Democratic and Republican Parliament in a political Hippocratic oath votes for an appointed vice president. Now, this bill was accepted, it was voted for, although some people kicked against and they did not vote, there was some abstention and so on. Now, the bill going through, how do you describe the decision of the parliament?
I said here some days back that by voting that bill, Parliament would have actually staged a democratic coup d'etat. A democratic coup d'etat because we are shifting from our democratic principles towards authoritarian. It is an authoritarian or autocratic shift in our democracy. Because the vice president that we appointed, the head of state has the prerogatives to still dismiss him and put in a new person.
Yeah.
And the vice president that will be appointed is still made based on the choice of the president. No one, the Cameroonians do not have will not have a mandate. It would have been good that he is voted, because if he takes, you cannot a transition, though the justification for that move to institute the post of president is for continuity, to ensure continuity, to do a good succession planning.
Yeah.
Those are good reasons, though. We may differ with the procedure and manner, but we want to say that there are good justifications for us to have a post of vice president. But when it comes to the fact that the head of state has to appoint someone who he can also dismiss at any time, and that the powers of that person is limited, we are seeing rather a move that is aimed to for the CPDM to consolidate power, to continue to consolidate power, which is very negative. After 43 years, it would have been expected that if the succession planning made by somebody who has ruled the country for 3 years should reflect democracy. Remember some years back when they asked the head of state what he was how he described himself, and he said that he would like to be remembered as the one who brought democracy to Cameroon. And the present dispensation of the vice president who will be appointed actually now makes him to be remembered as the person who killed democracy in Cameroon, who totally killed democracy in Cameroon. And I will say that with my face straight on the camera, that by this move, the agenda setting for Cameroon has changed. That Cameroon is now in a total dictatorship, and I don't know what our friends, other diplomatic missions, our friends of other countries that have a good partnership with Cameroon or good relation with Cameroon, who have good cooperation with us, what they will see us as. It also, even in the fact that somebody, is what a system decides, a government decides to put in a succession plan. It's a very good thing for investors, because the investor knows that in the absence of the president, at least there will be continuity based on institutionalized principles. But then, the fact that it's a top-bottom approach that the president is going to appoint. It also mars the same succession or continuity or the confidence that investors may have in the system. And I want to think and believe very much that this has been crafted to put in place only those that have been around the president, the very people that have been, it set precedence for a lot of impunity, because those that have been around him are not really accountable, and now there is going to be continuity with those same person. And there are some figures. When the last program you were showing pictures of, what the press is projecting as figures that might be coming in a few days or however to man that position, it is still a very big worry when you see the faces that were portrayed. And it's as if the CPDM has actually decided to sink the ship.
How will you assess the parliament, the Congress that we have in Cameroon? Is it that strong or weak?
Parliament. What is the strength of a parliament? The strength of a parliament is justified by the bills they pass, the feeling of the common man. If the nation is not breathing well, you start to ask yourself the kind of bills that parliament would promulgate and which are promulgated into law by the head of state. The strength of a parliament is on the account of its independence. Our account, how free are they to take decisions without following party line? The parliament of Cameroon, all parliamentarians of the CPDM who are the majority in the parliament follow toward the party lines. And the party line is not for the interests of the common Cameroonian, but the party line is based on a kind of power concentration by the party in power, and not for the interest of the common man. And so we have one of the weakest parliaments in the world. I would say the weakest parliament, because we have not seen a parliament that private membership bills, even from members of the CPDM, have come up. The opposition parties that have tried severally on different accounts to bring in the private member bill have always been shown out. So we have a hand clapping parliament, people who go there so for courtesy, who go there for formality. They know. Imagine that most of the time, if it is in a November session where the bill, finance bill is supposed to be voted, the law says that it should be brought to them 15 days before. And that same parliament has never had the bill 15 days before. So you see, we are in the kind of lawlessness that is even orchestrated right from those who are supposed to protect the rule of law. The bills that the president brings to their table also come in just a few days
But to you,
so we actually have a hand clapping parliament who rather abide to party discipline, which is not in favor or which has never made us to progress, and all of them are aware that they are not doing anything good for Cameroonians.
But what do you think should be their reasons? What are they protecting? Because you just said something very important there. For decades now, the law says that they should have every bill that is supposed to be submitted 15 days before it is discussed, or before they open to that discussion. Now, this has been failing for decades. And now we always find certain bills just coming that same day, few hours, they just have to start discussing. Then maybe when they go to some plenary sessions and so on, they come back into the parliament, the same thing. Now, I want to ask, what are these people protecting? What are they really protecting, according to you?
Mr. Moderator.
Because somebody who doesn't have selfish aim, anything to protect, will be very open and straightforward. So what do you think they are protecting?
Mr. Moderator, a majority of the parliamentarians are business operators.
Okay.
People that have evaded taxes, people that have cannot justify their wealth, people that have soiled their hands with injustices, but because they have this prerogative of presidential parliamentary coverage, which makes them untouchable once they are still there. They continue to sit quietly because they too are not clean. I think if you are clean and you represent, and they are not the true representatives of the people, because most of the parliamentarians are appointees from the Central Committee. You know that our grassroots politics has been swindled down by the fact that Yaoundé has to choose people who stand in the as representative of the people. Excuse me. And so when you know that you have been, your mandate comes from Yaoundé, from the Central Committee or from the presidency or whoever, you are not accountable to the people. You are not a representative of the people. So the cry of the people is not your concern. The cry of the population is not your concern. And that is why most of them now have erected themselves into national parliamentarians, where for several years, some of them have not been back in their constituencies.
So they are serving.
So they are serving by the
them?
Yaoundé Central Committee or the government of Cameroon. So they cannot on any occasion ask government for accounts or management. They cannot. They see the level of impunity as being growing up every day, where people violate rights and laws and whatever. The parliamentarians sit quiet. As a journalist, I think that you would remember that one of your colleagues, a court case that where he was murdered till date, court cases have been from
Martinez Zogo
and Martinez Zogo. But it warrants that the parliament can also say that, hey, hit the hand on the table, that, but you, Mr. Magistrate, make a final declaration on this. Let us know about this. Even Wazizi, whereabout, we don't know. We don't know whether they said they were going to hand the corpse to the family. We don't know whether it was done in the night. And so those are some of the things that the cracks in our governance, the cracks in our administration, the cracks in our judicial system, where Parliament is supposed to address. It is deplorable. I still say that we have a group of persons who sing, who chant the Bia song, the regime song, and so they don't have any issue than to keep him in power, because they also protect their own personal interests.
Now, with all what you are saying, it shows that the hands of the elders are dirty. Now, if we are talking of a president who talked of maybe more vibrant, younger people will come to power, and it is said that those who wash their hands clean will dine with the elders. Now, how are the younger people going to dine with the elders when the hands of the elders are dirty?
Thank you. The hands of the elders are very, very dirty. I would rather advocate that they used to not even dine with the elders again, because they will also soil their hands. The hands of the elders are very dirty, so to say. If you look at the way issues of the state are handled these days without... But I would like to point in one thing, those who abstained and those who spoke out against that bill.
Yeah.
I would take the case of our veteran Belamoki, who also stood against. I think that that is a mark of wisdom. That is a mark of wisdom because he is somebody who is very close to his community.
Yeah.
And around him, he incarnates so many youths around him.
And they would have questioned him.
Who have questioned him. He took a very big risk. But I think that out of wisdom, people, when you already have gray hair, you have to take decisions. You don't have, there should be no fear.
Yeah.
You have to be guided by wisdom. And I applaud him for what he did. Zene Rengele, who has been a minister, equally said he could not. So now, at least that is, you know, creating room for a legacy. Ask yourself, as a member of parliament, after 7, 10 years or 15 years, what legacy are you leaving behind? Just by standing out, singling themselves to speak out against the democratic murderers,
Yes.
murderers, those hijackers, democratic hijackers, in the name of parliamentarians and senators. Just by standing out to single yourself out and say, no, I'm not for that. It's a very big risk in the country where the rule of law sometimes is thwarted.
Party lines.
Party lines and even
gun
and even with the bullets. So they have taken a risk, and that risk is what is going to make them heroes tomorrow.
Now, such people like Rene Zengele and Charles Belamoki, senators, now taking this risk, you know, we live in a society where you take risks for people, but tomorrow they will not be there for you. So how do you like size up this between those who have decided to protect their reasons to themselves to vote this bill, and those who have decided to say that no, I want to stay with my people, I want to do it for my people and representing them, and now maybe tomorrow their decision follows and affects them, and those same people are not there with them? How do you size that?
I want to say that those are wise people who have foreseen the outcome that the majority of those hand clappers do not see. It is going to be very chaotic. It is a very chaotic decision that can lead Cameroon into a pitfall. And so those people have said, like Pontius Pilate, that I don't find any reason to justify this bill, but you can go ahead, you that think that is a good bill, go ahead and put it in place.
Yeah.
Now, they have sidelined themselves. You follow the media, you follow social media and other platforms, the debate is very hot.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to. Cameroonians, that is a nail on our democracy. That is a crucifixion of our democracy. And other projections about the personalities that will come up is making people to, you know. So in a nutshell, the risk that those people took, it comes right in time. It is better to take that kind of risk and go out in flying color and be admitted in your community. The other people that, you know, see the risk, there are those that do not live with their people. Senator Charles Moki lives with his people 24/7, except when he goes for parliamentary session. And he lives the reality of his community and the people around. Boya is a cosmopolitan town with people from all over Cameroon living in Boya. And he feels free to mingle with them. You invite him in the quarter, in the interland of the quarter, he comes there because he knows that he is under the protection. And Cameroon pray for him more. Those who have still think that the government will continue to protect them and that they can take decisions that will negatively affect Cameroonians are those that have taken the highest risk even.
Now, you've been talking throughout about killing Cameroon's democracy, and you just used another word now. Cameroon's democracy has been crucified.
Hijacked.
Now, and maybe hijacked and crucified. But now there are so many who think that that democracy has never been there. Now, but if you say it has been killed, was it there before?
You know that some other time too, we were known as the best students in democracy.
Okay.
I think that one was said in France several years back when they asked the head of Mais élève de la démocratie. And so there was some resemblance of democracy before,
Okay.
which we are thinking that
Which Cameroonians could manage.
We could manage and grow it up.
Okay.
Now it is coming to a turn where we're
has been
making a
worsened.
U-turn to consolidate power. We have made a U-turn by slapping democracy, and we might even realize that in the days ahead or in the years ahead, we'll be instituting the monarchy. You know, so
yes, I'll be coming to that aspect of monarchy.
That is very indicative.
Yes.
That I'm going to appoint the vice president, and I can also dismiss the vice president, and that these are the limitations of the vice president. These are my prerogatives in the National Assembly. My prerogatives, the prerogatives which are constitutional, though, but are also limitations for principles of democracy to strive. There are those limitations that illegitimize our democracy. But since the prerogatives of the head of state overrides the House of Parliament, it weakens the strength of the parliamentary voice.
Yes.
And so that is why we are going down the lane, that we are now eroding. There's a kind of erosion of our democracy by the vote that these parliamentarians passed. For once, they would have had an objection, and which was that we accept the position of vice president, but we say that, like the historians will say that in the years back, when we were still toddlers, that vice president was voted, and that each time they were going for a presidential election, the post of vice president was also on the run. They were voting for, and that gives the vice president legitimacy and prerogatives, certain prerogatives, that he could not be dismissed even by the head of state, because he was voted by the people. So our democracy is now has been hijacked. We are no more talking about democracy now. We are talking about an authoritarian regime that is now that we are projecting to put in place, and by the whims and caprices of a head of state who has now made himself the superpower man. Where Congress, the National Assembly, the Senate House do not have even right to even object his decision. What kind of, that is clear that our democracy was killed the other day when this bill was put into place.
Now you talk of, now let's be going gradually. You just talk of authoritarian regime, which is the same, similar, synonymous to dictatorship and tyrannic regime. Now, if it is so, some people say that such a regime that is tyrannic, dictatorial, and authoritarian cannot be removed through the ballot box. It is always removed. History has shown that it's always removed through a different channel. Now, what do you think about that statement?
Well, those are historical facts which we do not need to, so you cannot argue them. Most authoritarian or tyrannic regimes have been set aside by revolutions and other means, coup d'etats or whatever. That's history. I'm not inventing it all. I'm just saying what history says, and with proven track records. How did Idi Amin of Uganda leave power? How did you can name the rest? So you see, and that gives reason why some people, men of wisdom in that house, would not want to join their hands to dove their hands in implantation of an authoritarian regime, justifying their abstention from voting, because it's an indication that Cameroonians are not as docile as it seems to be. We have seen the few times that Cameroonians do a reaction, how violent it can be, or how, and with the advent of social media now, where information goes viral, it is very dangerous to hurt Cameroonians to sit in one house and decide to take a decision without factoring in the reactions of Cameroonians. The military, you know, most of the tyrannic governments are always backed up by military. But you will realize that at one point the invisible hand of God always comes in. And I pray that we should not reach into that chaotic
And when you talk of
situation.
the invisible hand of God, there's that belief also that even if God has to come, man too has to do his own part.
Yeah, what I'm saying is simple, that we are into a period of repression, not by military but by the National Assembly, that they have caused a kind of repression. And when it starts in the mindset of Cameroonians that they don't have hope, when you kill this anxiety in them, seeing their democracy growing, Cameroonians were following up elections and seeing how competitive the elections have been within the past election, and then you just come up now and implant a situation of succession wherein you are going to ensure continuity, yes, but in a very undemocratic way. Then it is clear, and it can lead to a very drastic situation which we are not praying for. I think that even the choice of whoever comes to man that office is not what we have. They can choose the best person, but the fact that the presidency has the prerogative to dismiss, it means that within the 7-year mandate of the head of state, if tomorrow, in the days ahead, a vice president is put in place, you can say 1 year and the president sees that is not meeting up with him, they are not in line, he dismiss you and bring another person. So those are the bullshit kind of things.
Now, we've been talking here of authoritarian, dictatorship, tyrannic, repression, regime, all those attributes. But there are so many people who debunk this, who say that this cannot go with the system we have in Cameroon because we have all what we need. There's enough food, there is press freedom, because all these attributes we've given go only with a system where people cannot feel free, but there are those who think we feel very free in Cameroon.
Yeah, I would say that fortunately, despite the odds all put together, fortunately, we still have a resemblance of a very peaceful nation.
Yeah.
But remember that the definition of peace is not because of the absence of war.
Okay.
A hungry man cannot have peace, even if there's no violence. You are talking about people still eating. Who are those who are still eating?
Yeah.
Are Cameroonians really eating? When you go to when a housewife tells you that when it takes a sack and motor that used to be with 10,000 to the market, it is just half filled because prices are skyrocketing. Is it everybody that can afford to eat 3 square meals in Cameroon now? Is it every farmer who works farm that has the possibility to sell food puts harvest losses because of road network? And so if he or she has to sell to buy oil, the things that has to buy, you factor in here still on the minus. So Cameroonians are peaceful not because some government structures or whoever in government or the system has made them to be peaceful. It is simply because Cameroonians were made by God to be very peace-loving people. In the comfort of the minister's zone, they have everything. They have fuel coupons. They don't know what it takes to imagine that to live from here to Limbe, you have to pay 1,500. Where's the distance? Because of fuel. And each time that fuel prices increase in the international market, Cameroon justify increment in their own. But each time that the same oil prices drop drastically, our own remains where it remains. And we always hear of government subsidizing fuel sector. What is the account that government, some ministers have, sometimes it was rumored that there are ministers who have more than 2.5 million for oil per day. Because based on the fact that he is a minister of this position, he's also a PSAR in this ministry.
Some of them have about 5 positions.
5 positions.
And more. Yes.
And so those 5 positions warrant that each month they give them 4. And when you calculate on daily basis, you realize that there are some ministers that have 4 per day for 1 million, 2 million.
See,
is that necessary?
Since
so I remember some time ago, when the opposition was still vibrant in the National Assembly, they talked of about 160-something billion unjustified losses in the foreign sector. 165 billion losses in the foreign sector would mean that there is fraud, which needs to be checked, and somebody has to be accountable, because there's some fraud that leaves and goes to some quotas that nobody, and it goes to private pockets. So those are the things that we need to factor in to be sure that that can bring Cameroonians to live a better life. Cameroon has everything for Cameroonians to live happily, to eat well. But because of the finance fraud that we have, Cameroonians are not living that better life. But in theory, we are a rich country. They have just postponed election because of there's no money. Can you justify that? The Glencore affair, which is talking about several
trillions.
So much
billions.
Yeah. Where has it gone to? Is it a fake story or is it fake news? No, it's not fake news.
It has been proven that
those monies can be brought back for Cameroon to live a better life. So it shows how these very people who go to the assembly to vote, did you hear it surface in the National Assembly or in the Senate? No. So these people, these are the hijackers of democracy who have a very dirty hand in whatever situation is happening. How could it happen that a foreign company comes to Cameroon and rob Cameroon of several hundreds of billions, and that in the parliament nobody raised a voice about it? Even the international community in UK, the court case was they accepted the fraud, and now Cameroon is not following up. Has the money been given back and somebody again has sat on it? No. We have seen even that the conflict the conflict between certain ministerial departments, where, for instance, SNH, the board meeting was convened and somebody locked his door and nothing has happened. They are still there. Is that what the vice president, is the post of vice president going to come and correct all those things? If the assembly cannot raise eyes on and voices on those kind of issues, are we going to see that it is the vice president who will come and raise voice when he's going to be appointed? If he was going to be elected, then we will see change, that he will come and he can disagree with the head of state on an issue, and so the issue will be brought to parliament and parliament could vote it. But this time around, we are not expecting somebody who is an appointee of the head of state to also raise eyes, just like the parliament is doing. If Parliament cannot speak against those financial mishaps that is happening in the country, it means that we don't have a Parliament. You asked me earlier about the weakness or the strength of the Assembly, and I told you that we are the weakest Parliament that we have ever seen. Even in some countries where you find a seemingly dictatorial or tyrannical regime, you still see the strength of the Parliament in debates. You find out that even if it's one party, they argue.
Okay, now, if you look at it, some of the MPs, not only that of the opposition, but that of even the ruling CPDM party, state of this bill. Don't you see that things may be changing in the days ahead?
That is the beauty of democracy.
Okay.
The beauty of democracy is just like marriage, where you can disagree with your wife.
Okay.
The way people are married, for better, for worse, that it is not on all points that you agree. That is the beauty of democracy, where there are differences. And those differences come because you want to make positive moves to improve the lives of Cameroonians. I come on this platform not because I'm coming to defend rich people, because I consider myself as the voice of the voiceless.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of democracy would be what these people did. Those who abstain, maybe they abstain and just stay them quiet. But some other people abstain and spoke out.
Okay.
Even though they put that's the beauty of democracy. Even in a one-party system, that's where I said that CPDM has killed politics in Cameroon, killed democracy in Cameroon, because in the weeks behind, I was saying on this platform that the beauty of democracy would have been where they come to vote the President of the National Assembly, and somebody propose and some other person put us in line and propose another candidate, and some other people take person from the same party, and then they go and contest. That is the beauty of democracy.
I
The
will
beauty
say
of democracy is
some
not
years
that
back-
the head of state has to appoint, or the party line says that when a nomination is made, then you another parliamentarian or the CPDM cannot call a different name. That is where the assassination starts in the CPDM.
But now let us look at, don't you think that this kind of decisions that we've witnessed with the bill and so on, don't you think that there is a kind of hidden agenda that is to like protect Cameroon and Cameroonians? That maybe there is something we don't know that they are trying to protect, to make sure that it shouldn't explode out there, to keep peace in Cameroon.
There's nothing that we don't know. There's nothing that the CPDM does that people do not know. People see them before they come.
Okay.
Yes, there's nothing that we don't know. The past election was a big challenge to the CPDM. Let me say it like that. This past presidential election was a big challenge to the CPDM. And they know that if elections came up this year, immediately as it's supposed to come, they would have been swept out of the parliament. But they will still be swept out too. Because the way they want to do it, it will still be... whether they change the electoral code or not change it, I still say it that they have expired their time.
Do you see
because
this?
they don't have the interest of Cameroonian at heart.
If you
they will not continue the toll lines with cheating. It's not everything that cheating will be tolerated.
No, but if you talk of they will be swept out, do you see the regime to be that regime that will be removed through the ballot box?
Now there are some elements that I use. I am seeing in the back doors, under the back doors, several vibrant and competent youths that are positioning to stand in the upcoming election. I'm even happy that they shifted it to give them time to really prepare themselves. You understand? But from my readings, there are some potential youths that are preparing for upcoming elections, and they will really come up.
In other words, you are saying that there is a messiah you are foreseeing who will still come from the same party and the same regime.
Thank you. I did not say that. I did not say that everybody in the CPDM is bad.
Okay.
I've never said like that. I've said that it's a bad party. But a bad party is just like you say, nothing good can come from Jerusalem, but something good came from Jerusalem.
Okay.
As bad as Bamenda is, the CPDM was born in Bamenda.
Good.
So at least something good came from those who advocate for CPDM.
And the same
Bamenda think that Bamenda is a very bad. At least the CPDM came
they
from
have accepted to receive the Pope also.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that there are still a handful, several persons within the CPDM that are very good people, very, very good people. But the regime, the system, the way it's a system that sometimes the virus, you can have a virus in your machine. They will not corrupt all the files.
But now, if you talk,
there are still good. There are still some that are not being corrupted.
But don't you think that if there's a silver lining in a cloud,
dark cloud,
but don't you think that that cloud may cover that silver lining?
No, in this case, I don't think there are people that have been in that system for several years, and it is not at the end that the dark cloud covered them.
Okay.
They have stood firm, and they fight silently. They fight silently. That's one of the reasons I seem to disagree with a lot of those good people that I know, mostly youths. There are lots of good people within the CPDM. I say it like that and say it aloud.
Okay.
But the only bad thing is that sometimes when you fight silently, the people do not also see you. But this time that elections are coming, I would like to be seeing potential youths who want to take over councils and parliaments and senates. I want to see them on platform talking to people. I'm not a politician. That I will say that I will go and stand. So let them be the ones to be even coming here and giving us their manifestos of what they will do.
And
so
that's what the one problem that we have.
Don't wait for the dying minute. If you wait for the dying minute, the risk is that Yaoundé will cover you. But if you start coming here, once Yaoundé wants to manipulate and bring in those people that have gone there and given them so much money, people will say that no, the other militants of the CPDM in their political base are the sub units or how do they call it again?
The branches,
in the
and
branches,
the cells.
branches and cells. They will say that no, you cannot send us this person who lives with you people there, but we have these people who have been performing within their communities. Let me take the example of somebody. Look at somebody like parliamentarian,
You mean the senator or?
No, parliamentary.
Okay, Malumba.
Malumba.
Honorable
Why am I
Malumba.
forgetting Malumba's name? I was seeing the name, but it's not coming to my lips anyway. Can you hide him?
No,
Has he not taken risk?
he has done
Why
so.
are other people not taking that same risk? He does a lot of things. You cannot mask him. You cannot mask Malumba again. Malumba, he makes himself open. And he takes risks. Sometimes I even blast him, but he takes good risks. And I love him for daring.
Okay.
So other potential youths who want to stand should make themselves, should not hide themselves, waiting for Yaoundé to protect, to uncover them. No, they should be seen within the
And
community.
dear viewers, that is a problem we have, where so many people claim to be in politics or they want to enter politics, but to come here is a problem. They are just waiting for that last minute and be shouting those shouts that nobody will come out to sympathize with them. So that's a message to politicians or those who think that they want to get into politics. But now let's get to what you also spoke of, the creation of monarchy, and so many platforms, so many people have talked about it, that it's like this decision is a decision of creation of monarchy in Cameroon. Why don't they just tell us that, okay, that's what... Now, in this monarchy they are talking of, there are so many people who have started saying that somebody like the son of the present president, Frank Biya, is to come up as a vice president who will take over and start controlling things.
You would agree with me that if that kind of decision is made, then they have already institutionalized the monarchy, right? There would have been the monarchy that would be instituted. But the trump cards are clear that he could be the one. And you see, the Frankist movement has come out. They are in support of the post of vice president, and they are projecting.
But there's somebody we've hardly seen in the maybe corridors of politics. How experienced is he?
Politics. We have many politicians who were not seen in the corridors of politics until the time that an opportunity came up. Now the opportunity comes up. The opportunity is that he also has supporters, and other people think that for the father to go peacefully, he should replace the son. Then it will boil down to the fact that he has put a youth, and then secondly, that the son will protect his interests, you know, his own legacy and interest. So that is where we are talking about the monarchy, and that could be very chaotic for Cameroon. But if this position of vice president was made an elective post, Frank Biya has the mandate and to stand for election like a normal Cameroonian to be voted.
Yes.
If he's voted democratically without fraud, we will not accept him. Do we have a particular problem with Frank Biya? No, we don't have. But if the post of vice president was elective and he stands like other Cameroonians to be voted into power, if he's voted genuinely, he will occupy that position.
But we see it is a cankerworm that is ongoing in some African countries now, especially
Central Africa.
Yes, the French-speaking countries, the colonies, the former colonies of France, is ongoing, where there's this transition. It goes around the family and so on. What's your take about that? That as so many people foresee that that's what is going to also happen in Cameroon, and in some places we've seen that it has worked, where some of them are doing wonderful things, constructing good roads, changing situations. Don't you think that's another a good idea?
Well, there are some positive influence or things in every negative thing.
Okay.
The negativities are not all dark.
Okay.
Just like advantages are not all white. In some advantages you have, disadvantages. In disadvantages you still have advantages as well.
Okay.
So it is not all dark.
And he may just
succession from a father to the son.
Yes.
Who has stayed in power means that it is a billionaire son who have followed his father so well, and who might want to, who knows that his father has created a lot of cracks, and want to come and fill the cracks.
Okay.
So a transition can be good that a son takes over and says, my father was wrong. You saw the daughter. The daughter says that my father is like this, my father is like this. And so if the brother too is seeing that the brother is a quiet person, he'll be coming in to build a legacy for his father by doing the corrections of how he witnessed Cameroonians and Cameroon growing. And then he will be coming in with a stealing germ, because he's already a billionaire by his father's,
And so he cannot steal again.
He don't have hand to steal, because we're coming in now to
But we've seen other billionaires
clean his face for himself and his family. You have seen presidents that have died and the families are all in exile. And he will not want to find his own family in that situation where they have had, the father has left a lot of landed properties and things for the family, and then the family choose to go and be living out of the country. No. So he will be coming in to do some corrections. But I am saying that the danger is that the method that he will come in, that he will be brought in, is not the right method, and so he will become, people will throw stones at him, because that will be showing clearly that it's a monarchy. Like you said, the indicators are clear that most of these French African countries have gone, when the authoritarian parents are leaving, they bring in their sons, and that most of them have done a lot of good.
Yeah.
I still remember the case of Ali Bongo, that he came in and revolutionized the system, and there was so much development coming into to Gabon.
Yeah.
You understand? But we are afraid that the exposure of the son will be a negative one, because of the manner if he's appointed, he will not.
But don't you
not
see?
be accepted by.
But don't you see that the Messiah you talked of, who may come still in the same system, should be that Frank Biya?
No. I would not even open a discussion for a Frank Biya coming out of appointment, because I am saying that Cameroon will not accept that a son takes over out of appointment. So I think that they should go back with that bill. If they actually want him, let him go by election, he will be accepted.
Okay, let us see a few people that some people are to, because in the days ahead we'll surely have disappointments. There are some people who are also talking of the present Prime Minister and head of government, Dr. Diongute. They are also talking of the former Prime Minister, Philemon Yang, and yes, let's take these two. How do you see? And maybe let me add the Secretary General at the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo. How do you size up this?
You cited two Anglophones.
Yeah, because if you see Ferdinand Gongo, he's somebody who came up very vibrantly and has been very, I don't want to use a kind of adjective here, but which has caused a lot of problem in the CPDM party and the government itself. Then when we see the Prime Minister, the present Prime Minister, he has been very diplomatic. I'm coming. He has been very diplomatic, and you saw how he worked as far as this Anglophone crisis is concerned. Then we'll see Philemon Yang, who is already an old administrator and is in the international books already. So how do you size them?
Each time that we had cabinet reshuffle in Cameroon, and journalists would do analysis of the persons that were appointed, and try to protect them, show their skill, their leadership qualities, and their CVs as administrators, very positive. But all of those who have manned positions in Cameroon government, by the first constraints that they have, which do not permit their personal attributes to be seen as they having a mastery, is because the CPDM mechanism or machinery do not function like that. You have to top party lines, and so the two Anglophones that you cited are people of integrity and value. But ask yourself that what is their contribution in the administration? If you are looking back on their personality, you will see that they were fine brains. They are fine grains and brains that could bring change. But I say that the CPDM do not function like that. And so when you come in, they tell you have to top party lines. And so most of the time you find them that they are frustrated in their work because of this party line issue or party discipline. Now, so even if they were to come in with those profiles that you're saying, and are appointed again by the head of state, what do you think that they will change? What will change? Nothing will change. Nothing. They will not bring any change. They will instead come and even disgrace their and erode even their profile and caliber, because they will still be answerable. The yes sir court will still be there. Now, if you go now to the third option that you give, Ferdinand Gongo, I have respect for him as the Secretary General of the Presidency. But if tomorrow he finds himself as Vice President of this country, it will still be more chaos and more chaotic. Like you said, they have been very conflicting serious antagonism between his decisions at the presidency as the signature of, since he has since he was given the mandate to excuse me, to vote, to sign for the head of state.
The signature of the president.
Presidential decision or high instructions from the head of state. Someone of the high system of the regime contradicted him, and also the fact that even before this, look at the management of the African Cup of Nations, which they cried foul, and he was in charge, but he went further to give medals. He decorated some people, whereas the accountability of that competition was not yet given to the public. Up to now, we have not had accountability from him. So he is not very clean. He looks a gentleman, but he's not also very clean. So that would be very chaotic to put him.
Are you now saying that because you've given some good, are you saying that Nijon Frundi, the former chairman of the SDF, he who is of late, may so rest in perfect peace, he made a statement of clean water in dirty bottle. That was when, if I'm not forgotten, when former Prime Minister Musonge Mafani was appointed the Prime Minister after doing so much in CDC, because CDC was collapsing, and he brought up CDC again. And when he was appointed as Prime Minister, Nijon Frundi made a statement that clean water has been put in dirty bottle. And now, with all what you've said, is it like some of these people, like the present Prime Minister, the former Philemon Yang, who have proven to be good administrators? Are you sure, if they are the clean water, are you sure they have been dirtied by the system?
I already said so, that the profile, the caliber of personalities that you find coming into government are always people with a CV that shows that they can bring in change.
Okay.
But remember that those prime ministers have tabled bills in the assembly later than the expected day.
Okay.
Was it because they don't know that the law says that a finance bill has to come in 15 days before? So you see, they were clean, but there's party discipline. You just come in a few days that people will not have time again to read and criticize, and you just bring 100 or 200 and something document page for people who the majorities are above 70 that they cannot read within the time that they are supposed to. So that is party discipline, which is negative to their own personal. You have seen all of them. Did you ever hear them? Did you notice that all in their term of office, in their mandate as prime minister, these bills that they are supposed to bring, they always bring them late.
Okay.
Despite their goodness. So are you not seeing that once you are inside the CPDM, you become, and no matter your personal convictions, you are not governing based on your convictions, but you are going based on the party discipline, which is so negative for your personality to override.
Okay, before we go to one of the last parts of this program, that is also linked to this. At one time, Nijon Frundi said, the peace that we are talking of so much in Cameroon is merely a time bomb. There will be a time when it will explode. Has it exploded, or is still to explode?
No, it has not exploded, but with this law that the election of a vice president, it is already triggering the bomb. You know, it's like already coming to trigger the cartridge that will hit the bomb to explode. Because, like I said, that is a democratic hijack. The indicators are very clear that the succession that they are planning has to erode our democratic space, has
Okay.
to be, challenge the principles of it challenges all the principles of democracy, and that could be the time bomb that we explode now in Cameroon, which we don't want.
That will be serious, but it can still be detonated. It can still be because with all the experienced people around the bomb, maybe they know how to maybe before realize it will not explode.
Okay, what you're actually saying is that at the level of the CPDM, those workplace militants,
Yeah.
at the level of the government, those salient administrators, at the level of even at the international level, somebody will call the government to order, and that's the only thing you can detonate bomb, right? Because if it stands by as it is,
Yes.
Parliament has already taken in activating the bomb.
Yeah, okay.
By voting for vice president appointed, who can be sacked by the head of state at any time.
Yes.
Who if it happens that he takes over power, cannot change the constitution, then what are you seeing? You are seeing that bomb, that the time has come for that bomb to actually explode.
Okay, maybe, dear viewers, shortly we shall have a report. I've just been told that it's ready. Maybe shortly we shall have it, then we'll take from that report to conclude this program. If it is ready, we don't know if the broadcasters can give us, so that we'll start taking the last bend of this discussion. If it is ready, then let's have it before we take the last bend of this discussion. Cameroon has had two past vice presidents, both serving during the country's federal period from 1961 to 1972. Jongu Foncha, who served from 1961 to 1972, was the first vice president of Cameroon, serving currently as Prime Minister of West Cameroon. He was a key figure in the country's reunification and advocated for maintaining autonomy for West Cameroon. Foncha was born on June 21, 1916, and passed away on April 10, 1999. Then came Solomon Tandeng Muna, who served from 1970 to 1972. Muna succeeded Foncha as vice president and served until their office was abolished in 1972. He was also Prime Minister of West Cameroon from 1968 to 1970 and President of the National Assembly from 1973 to 1988. Muna was born on March 27, 1912 and passed away on January 22, 2002. The vice president position was abolished in 1972 after a constitutional referendum which transitioned Cameroon from a federal to a unitary state. The move was part of President Amadou Ahidjo's efforts to centralize power and reduce regional autonomy. Recently, Cameroon's parliament approved a constitutional amendment restating the vice president position, granting President Paul Biya the power to appoint a vice president who will automatically assume the presidency in case of vacancy. Some of the government and CPDN political guru who are seen as potential candidates for the post of vice president are people like Frank Biya. The president's son, Frank Biya, is often cited as a potential candidate despite his lack of political experience. Some speculate he is being groomed for the role following a pattern seen in other African countries. Ferdinand Gongo, who is also the Secretary General of the presidency. Gongo is considered one of the most influential figures in the government. He is seen as a strong contender, but his influence has sparked rivalries within the ruling CPDN political party and the government. Then comes the current Prime Minister, Dr. Joseph Ngute. The current Prime Minister Ngute is a trusted ally of President Biya and has played a key role in
implementing reforms. His diplomatic background and experience make him a viable candidate. There's also the former Prime Minister Philemon Yang, a former minister and diplomat. Yang is seen as a consensus candidate with experience in international institutions. However, his advanced age might limit his appeal. The appointment is expected to be announced soon, with the vice president automatically assuming the presidency in case of death, resignation, or incapacity of the current president.
In fact, I sincerely want to thank the senior editor in the House of Royal TV, Mr. Ebai William, who edited that report. Very perfect. Thank you so very much. At this time, you listen to that report by the person who did the report. Now, with all what you listen to it, what can you conclude before we take the last bend taken from that report?
Well, I realized that before the post of vice president was scrapped up, we had two Anglophones who occupied that position and who were rightfully voted.
Okay.
And so I am sure that there was little antagonism because they were representing the people, and that the constitution called for them to be elected. And so the CPDM is coming back with the position of vice president, but which now is eroded by the fact that it will be an appointee of the president. It makes a very big difference, and even would simply mean we don't need, we would not, is it really needed again? We may not need it. Let him accumulate the two functions, because the fact that somebody is going to be a stooge who will not raise his head to say or contradict the head of state may not be the right one. And also in the report, you the proposed personalities or the rumored successors were all there, and I already painted a picture that I would not want a Gianlute with integrity or a Philemon Young to be there, and then we say that Anglophones will be celebrating that the post of vice president is an Anglophone, whereas it will be simply a hand clapper because the prerogatives that will be given him are very limited. Or some people will say that, okay, now that the vice president is coming from an English region, Anglophone crisis or problems have been solved. No, let it just go to the Francophones, let them be, so that we will not be thinking that an Anglophone is coming to solve Anglophone problem and then justifying that position, whereas it's another stooge who will be answerable to the head of state and to the entourage of the head of state.
Okay, now let us look, as I said, we'll take the last bend from that report that is given. In the days of, let's begin with the first person they talked of in the report, the first vice president. We know they were all elected. Let's look at, it was in the days of Ayijo and at the days of President Paul Biya. There are so many people who feel like the yesteryears were better off, but don't you see that the same thing are happening today?
The yesteryears,
because we talk of power consolidation, that gave the reasons, one of the reasons for what they did at that time, for maybe taking away the post of vice president in 1972. And so this time, if they are bringing it back, don't you see that it's better off, and they maybe have some good reason? How do you compare the two at that time? Yeah.
It was better off the yesteryears, because candidates could stand to be elected for the post of president, vice president, very democratic. It was still not better off because the post of vice president that went to the Anglophone came after the Fumban conference that had addressed some key issues that the government of Cameroon or the state of Cameroon had to do to to create a kind of semblance unitary state between the southern Cameroon and the East Cameroon. Whereas we noticed that there was a change within the Ahidjo system from a 2-star to a 1-star, violating the Fumban constitution.
Okay.
It means that even though you had an Anglophone or Anglophones had a head, there was still some erosions from drifting away from the recommendations of the Fumban constitution with respect of the commitment towards a unitary state between the southern Cameroon and the East Cameroon government. So their presence was still just figure, because you can see that, as I said, the star was removed, which indicated that we had driven towards East Cameroons. And then in the Paul Biya's time, he came and scraped off so many of those things and we finally found ourselves being called as the Republic of Cameroon, which was still another violation of the Cameroon constitution and a non-respect of the Anglophone in the unitary state. So it has not really been a bed of roses for Anglophones, and let me talk about not just Cameroon now, but even about the Anglophones. Because one of the reasons I focus on this is because apparently some people are coming out and saying that, okay, with this post of vice president coming back, they want to see an Anglophone there to be sure that there is a second personality in the state. No, the second personality in the Ahidjo regime there was a powerful person there who did not succeed to stop Ahidjo from making the country to move towards the East Cameroon constitution. And even in the presence of Paul Biya, he scraped up all those things because of the silence of Cameroon, and it went free. So it has not been better for Anglophones, it will not, and for Cameroon, because the fact that you do not respect that treaty, it doesn't only affect Anglophone communities, but it also affects Cameroon as a whole.
Okay, now we are still there at the time of Ahidjo, looking at with the time of President Paul Biya. Now, if we come to those first vice presidents that we have, now with this one that are coming now, you know, it was a federalism, a federal state at that time. But now we are in the time of unitary state. If you were asked, which one do you prefer for it to continue, the vice president in the time of federalism or vice president in unitary state?
Of course, I would prefer a vice president in the federal system. We are clamoring for decentralization, and we think that a federal system would quickly define the regions' place in governance systems, and over concentration of powers by Yaoundé will be, you know, and so it can usher in development. Theoretically, that is what it's supposed to be. Other states, you observe other federal states in the world, you realize that they are stronger when it comes to governance, like than presidential regimes, presidential systems where powers are devalued from Yaoundé or from one system. So every Cameroonian would like to take in federalism, though the form of federalism has been a debate. He would like to put 10-state federation. What is the problem? We are not saying that if you are going back to federalism, it must be that the Southwest and the Northwest must be a federal state. No, we can now make a federal state where all the regions are, you know, autonomous.
Okay, now let's look at the time this vice president position was abolished and now that is being brought back. That report says the vice president position was abolished in 1972 after a constitutional referendum which transitioned Cameroon from a federal to a unitary state. That's what we've read. The move was part of President Amadou Ahidjo's efforts to centralize power and reduce regional autonomy. Now, the points I want us to pick here is it was abolished in 1972 after a constitutional referendum that brought it from federalism to a unitary state. But now we have the other side. It is being brought back maybe in a different way. How do you look at these two?
No, I think the option of 72 is preferable. Cameroonians went into the pool and decided the abolition. Cameroonians in this time around have been dictated the pace that he's coming back, and
Okay.
that will be through appointment. I think, like I said, democratic values are being downgraded. Would have been better sometime. We have been clamoring for referendum not only to bring the post of vice president, but also even in within the Anglophone crisis.
Okay.
The Anglophones were thinking that they could still give them another option to decide whether they want to stay in this or to want to move out of the marriage.
Yeah.
We see that there are no signs that this government can accept a referendum anymore. So 72, at least President Ahijo could have, I can think that he was more democratic than his successor Paul Biya.
It was more democratic, although as we said, you know, he too during his regime had other weaknesses too. But it's just that we are looking on specific.
No leader has ever ruled with a 100% strength or without weaknesses.
Okay.
We are human beings and we encounter lapses. But I can say that if you look at the structures that we had in the Ahijo time and the ones that we have that could be used as variables of democracy, I think that Ahijo was more democratic.
Okay, now looking at it, if you look at the prime ministers that we've had, the two prime ministers that we'll have Jongu Foncha and Solomon Tandeng Muna, the way they worked and the one that we are to have now, if you size up the way they ran the country and the one we are to have, what message, good message do you have to send to the one who is to be appointed? Because normally we know the appointee or the person to be appointed must surely have known that he or she has to be the prime minister. So maybe looking at your camera, what do you have to say?
You know when you are elected into an office,
Yes.
you come with a lot of confidence and strength and backup.
Yeah.
You know that you have a mandate of the people. Seemingly, you look at John Foncha and Solomon Tandemona in their days, they were more confident and they had space around the head of state based on the fact that their credibility and mandate, their credibility comes from the fact that they were voted. And they also had in mind to work with the people who put them in power. But these other people that will come in will be coming in through appointment, and they know that there are lots of controversy surrounding the appointment. The first controversy is that there were abstention in the voting of that bill, and the other is that some people, some members of parliament, some voices actually dared to say that they were not part of that kind of hijacking. And so it will make already that the people coming now will not have the same confidence like the other two people who came in through elections. So you can already see that even with the integrity and personality qualities of the persons that may be put in that position, they will not come in with that confidence. They will not come in. They don't have the trust of the people, which is showing even within their party, that there are abstention and some people spoke out again that they were not. They are against that kind of bill because you understand. So it's very clear that some people are just going to move into that office, and it will take time for them to gain stamina to talk to people. And when we come that they will finally become the president when maybe something has happened, you know, somebody will still challenge them. That no, you cannot go in this country because you are appointed. Then problem is they are going to be there will be cracks. That bomb may not explode only tomorrow when he's appointed. They may explode when the head of state closes his eyes and then you are taking over. Then you will face challenge now from so many other people who were close to the system but who did not actually who are not for your decision that you should be the one taking over. So we are in the kind of ship that is gradually sinking like the Titanic, which needs a very strong rescue team to be able to put it back on the waters.
Okay, now putting the vice president without portfolio, let me put it that way, because nothing is said that the vice president will be doing, nothing, no criteria, maybe laws defining the vice president what he should be doing. Do you see the present president maybe stepping down for the vice president to take over?
Oh my God. Mr. Moderator?
Because so many people are talking of succession, taking over so soon. As the law says, maybe when the incumbent incapacitated and so on. He's a human being, he has done his part. And if he cannot again, it is his right to go on retirement. So do you see that succession coming so soon?
Yes. I see it coming so soon. And that's why the head of the says that I should be the one to appoint. So
Okay.
that when you appoint somebody and you freely take exit now, the person will not challenge your status quo as
Person will
former
be
head of
protecting
state.
you.
The situation was going to be challenging if somebody else had been elected who was not his choice of succession.
Okay.
Then
Maybe
he
from
will
an
fear-
opposition.
He will fear that his legacy will be shattered by, the cracks that he created,
Yes.
and so, somebody will undermine his powers. You remember the conflict with the former president who resigned, Ahijo? You remember the party conflict that they had, wherein the chairman of the CNU had more powers than the president of the Republic of Cameroon.
Okay.
You remember when Ahijo resigned, he organized a national tour as a chairman of the CNU and made a tour around the country. And it was one that out of protocol, if there was supposed to be a 20-minute, the head of state would come before Ahijo would come, because Ahijo was the bigger picture, the head of the party, and the party was the nation.
Okay.
The party was like the state. You understand? So now, the way that the head of state has crafted it, he was going to appoint somebody, and that person can take over in his absence. And if somebody of his choice takes over, that person will not necessarily oppose or challenge the status quo that he put in place. So I think that he wants to go him peacefully, and so he wants to choose somebody to take over so that he can go and have a rest.
And that could be a very good decision. What do
That
you
could
think?
be a very good decision. But our problem is that the CPDM regime operates, in a very, the CPDM regime operates without accountability,
Okay.
and that status quo could remain. Impunity will continue. They have deep roots everywhere, and the tribalism, nepotism, and all the vices that we have will still continue. That is our problem, that the successor will still continue in the same lineage of chaotic governance. No, that is our fear. That
With all what we are talking of resignation, but there are some people who think that he will still be there, the name will be there as the president of the republic, but the vice president will mostly go out there as a delegate from the president, and so that's how they are going to operate. How do you see that?
you know that once the vice president, if he resigns, the vice president takes over position of president, and he will also appoint another vice president. That's
No,
what
we are talking now in a situation where we know in the past decades, President Pobe has always delegated the prime minister or other ministers to go for him. And so this situation now is more critical given to that his age. And so the vice president will mostly be a delegate to so many of his activities. How do you see that? While he remains as the president, but the vice president will be more functional.
Well, I was having a mix-up because you earlier asked me whether the president can resign. I was like,
Yes, that's
so
right.
I
I went the
confused
other
whether-
side. I went on the other side to, in case he doesn't
Sure.
resign.
No,
How
in
do you-
case he doesn't resign, the vice president becomes his chinda now, because it is very clear that the president is incapacitated now. Is it any argument for us to see the president comes only on ceremonies, and he is not vibrant again? And it is not an insult by his age, he's supposed to be resting now.
Yes.
Nobody is trying to challenge the head of state situation. He is no more having that stamina, and by natural and expectations,
Yes.
he should go on a very quiet retirement. He has carried this nation full of thieves around him, full of hijackers around him for so long, and you can have brain dysfunction only because of the kind of people that the country has. Drug abuse, drug this. You see things around you that are. So it is normal that it will wear on him. You know, imagine that you come or take power on presidents of rigor and moralization, and then you find that half of your ministers have embezzled. Many are still in prison, right? How do you expect him to feel a normal person who came in with ambitions of transforming a country? The fight that he has sustained has been a very dangerous fight for even usher in democracy. You even see that there are things that are done behind him without his knowledge. You know, so the same situation where they can put a 100-kilometer road that has been signed that is already that they come and he cut a ribbon and move maybe 20 kilometers and take his helicopter and go away. It happened in the Ahijo time. It's still happening now. That they are, you know, grand chantier. When he say grand realization, he means that industrializations and infrastructural development. But you still find that autoroute, Yaoundé Douala autoroute is incomplete. He's here away because he is already tired. They don't even, you know, when you have a grandpa in your family, there are some information that you don't need to bother his mind with. You only go to take the younger children to go and smile with him and play with grandpa. You don't need to go to Bantu report that you know that Kenneth has broken that this thing or that one. No, you don't. So he has already reached an age where they shift out what they tell him, and this is natural. And it's Africa, the way we treat senior personalities in Africa, elderly person in Africa. That's an African culture. You don't need to bother him with some information. So at this stage, he just needs to quit, go back to Mbomeka and live there peacefully, and we pay allegiance to him. Now we have a chance to even visit him and you know, show him love, and then we'll go him gradually. So let those around him not force him to stay in power to consolidate their greed, because it's out of greed that people around him still think that he should still be there. Left to that man, that personality.
Okay,
he has strong power. He's that person with integrity. But it's just that it was unfortunate that he boarded a plane with people that were hijackers around him.
Okay, the last two questions I have for you. I know you as a very good analyst, and you are at times you are prophetic in your analysis. Let me just ask these last two questions. I'll start with the first one. Do you see this vice president appointed before the arrival of the head of state of Vatican, the Pope, and linking to it, do you see him, the Pope, coming to prepare him for retirement?
Mr. General, that's a very good question. The expectations of Cameroonian on the Pope visit would warrant that the president appoints the vice president even before the arrival of the Pope.
Okay.
The first thing is that a nation that's a senior personality who has been at the helm of the nation for several years, and that everybody sees that there are cracks in our peace building. We are seeing the coming of the Pope as a moment to reconcile. And it would be a good thing for the head of state to appoint the vice president before the Pope comes, so that the vice president will also have the blessings of the Pope and reconcile with the majority of people, and then he will be called to duty. I think I can prophesy that it will be, the appointment of the vice president will come before the visit of the Pope.
And maybe the general appointment for cabinet and so on.
Maybe the general appointment, you know, the general appointment of the cabinet will come after the appointment of the vice president too.
Okay.
Yeah, we cannot expect reshufflement happening before the
No,
president.
we know the appointment has been done in a way that the same day you hear the prime minister has been appointed, you start hearing the next news is the cabinet reshufflement.
Most of those people, ministers that have stayed too long, and they really want to. They
Okay.
want to really.
The last
they want it
question.
to do so that they can be free individuals.
Okay, so the first one, you've been that prophetic there that the appointment may come before the Pope,
Yeah.
and the Pope is come to
No, I didn't
prepare
say
him
me.
for
I
retirement.
didn't say me. I said it will come before.
It will come before the Pope's visit,
Thank you.
and the Pope is coming to prepare him for retirement. Okay, now the last one, which I also want you to be very prophetic here. Just tell Cameroonians, look at the camera and tell Cameroonians the third vice president of Cameroon after Jongu Foncha, Tandemuna, who is the third?
If I dare do that, my prophecy will fail, and I will lose credibility of prophecies. But I beg that it should not be an Anglophone. I beg and pray that it should not be an Anglophone.
Why?
Because he still become a stooge, and he will not be, the blame now will go to the vice president.
Okay, so
There's a lot
who
of
do you
risk.
see?
There's a lot of risk in that position.
Okay, who do you see as the vice president?
Vice president, the one that I can say is the one that will bring war, so I better not make that kind of prophecy.
Okay, you have already prophesied that the one you have in mind, the one may bring war, so you don't want to bring out the prophecy. It's been normal. Kike, thank you so very much for accepting this invitation.
Thank you, Mr. Mambo.
Dear viewers, this is where we come to the end of today's program, where we were discussing on the same parliament, the Congress, that took the decision to appoint the vice president, the third vice president of the Republic of Cameroon. Thank you so very much, all those who have made this program to come to fruition. Have been moderator Mwambo William. See you next time for another program.
Hey, Royal TV viewers, your voice matters, and now we want to hear it louder than ever. We've created a special WhatsApp feedback group just for you. Got opinions about our shows? Suggestions